caught in the silent screen.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of RecTech Live. Good to see you here on a warm, sunny afternoon here in the Northeast. And we're going to talk today about the state of mobile apply. I got my buddy Matt Lozar here from Haley Marketing Group on the line too. How's it going, Matt?
Good. How are you, Chris?
Nice. Well, I'll ask you to introduce yourself in a few moments for the audience as well, but we'll get started with a few things first. So just a couple show notes for the next few webinars coming up. I do apologize. I had a show scheduled for September 12th around the how Phenom people integrates with Workday. However, that's been squashed by the Workday staff. So they wanted to approve the content, even though they weren't putting it on. And so we just decided it wasn't worth the hassle. We're going to come up with a different topic for that week overall. August 29th, next week, 1 o'clock, we'll be talking with Recruitology, how AI delivers better results for jobs. I'll be joined by their CEO and founder, Roberto Angulo, and we'll cover how they use AI and related concepts to deliver better results for employers when it comes to the top of the recruiting funnel through their different through their platform and how they deliver more relevant and qualified candidates to you all. So that'll be next week, 1 o'clock again, rectechlive.com. And then September 5th, we finally get the guys from Emissary to come on, emissary.ai. We'll have Ewan Hayward, their founder, come on, and we'll talk about best practices in text recruiting, something I've been wanting to do for a while now on the show. We'll give us kind of a step-by-step of all the tips and tactics around that for both recruiters and employers out there around their text recruiting strategies overall. So again, all shows at 1 o'clock Eastern time with replays available on demand right afterwards. RecTechLive.com is the URL for everything on the webinars. Quick show note, I'll be traveling to HR Tech October 1st. Matt, you guys going to that?
We are not going to HR Tech.
No. If you want to get a $300 off a conference ticket, just use RecTech as the promo code for anybody out there. Hope to see you there. That's October 1st through the 4th out in Vegas at the Venetian. Always a good time. Always one of my favorite conferences out there. So, all right, let's see who's live with us. Give a few shout outs to the RecTechies in the audience. Hello, Jessica. Hello, Lori. I see Mike is here. Paul Miller's back. Hey, Paul. Wood and Herb. How's it going, guys? Glad you're all here. All righty. So we're going to talk to today about the state of mobile apply. I kind of decided to do a webinar around this after the research that I published over on rectechmedia.com. You can see the link up there in the chat box. As we go through this, if you have any questions, throw them in the chat, and we'll answer those as well. And so this all started for me doing a career site audit a couple months ago for a client, and realized that when I went to their ATS on my phone and tried to apply, I ran into barriers and got me thinking around, okay, who else is having this problem? And right around that time, a new survey came out from MRI Network overall. And we'll get to that in a second. But Matt, just give a quick, tell us who you are and tell us what Haley Marketing Group does as well. So we'll start there.
Sure. Thanks for having me on today, Chris. And I'm Director of Recruitment Marketing at Haley Marketing Group. Haley Marketing's existed for 20 plus years, around 22, 23 years. And we work exclusively in the staffing industry and with recruiters. So pretty much websites, content marketing, social collateral, all that. Obviously, our job board, which we'll be talking about here. And when I saw Chris was talking about and seeing all the barriers with mobile apply, in one of the Facebook groups, I think he was talking about it on Twitter as well. I reached out there and just shared the example that we have for a number of our clients that proprietary software where we've created it. There's hundreds of clients out there that use it to display jobs on their career sites, and one of the top benefits of it is the mobile apply.
Yeah, and I saw Matt's Facebook message, and I checked out his site and I said, "Oh, this needs to be highlighted as well." I thought it was a great. I thought you tackled it in a great way, Matt. So That's why I wanted to have on the show today. As we go along, I'll mention a bunch of different technologies, audience. No one's paying me for these mentions, but I wanted to kind of highlight them as sort of good examples of mobile apply. And so take that for what you will. Do your own due diligence, of course, around this stuff. But I definitely wanted to highlight some of these particular vendors out there who I think do a good job around the mobile apply piece overall. So, all right. So let me show you this stat here, because this stat was very timely when I have to go to my screen first. Very timely when I got to my career site audit. And MRI Network did a recent study. 30% of companies, only 30%, have a mobile-friendly apply process, reflecting a disconnect between candidates and potential employers. Right, so 7 out of 10 companies out there do not have this overall, and I think it's killing their their application rates. And I'm surprised no one's really talking about this. It's been a kind of an under the radar type of topic in HR tech overall, Matt. I don't know what you've heard out there, but no one's really talking about this conversion problem that a lot of companies have overall. And if this quote here doesn't scare you as an employer, I don't know what will. Candidates are prioritizing other employers with a better mobile application process, making companies that don't provide it less desirable. So if you're in that 70% of companies who don't have it yet, this quote here should raise your attention and get you thinking here about what technology you have in place for candidates to apply overall. If you consider the fact that half of traffic on the web is mobile traffic, it's coming in from a phone, and you're buying traffic to your jobs, and they're coming in from mobile, they're not converting properly overall. I'm seeing this with a few clients now overall. It's just mobile does not convert if you don't have the right process in place overall. And it's something that you really need to start paying attention to overall. So let's kind of dive into some of this overall. Oh, and I'll just start too, but that career site audit I did for that company, I think they were using Taleo as their ATS. And the first thing I had to do before even I could apply was they were forcing me to log in and create an account overall. And, no job seeker on the mobile phone wants to create an account to apply for a job. They just want to upload their resume and be done with it overall. It should be a painless operation, which unfortunately does not happen today at many companies. I was forced to create a username, a password. I had to re-enter the password. I had to put an email address and then re-enter the email address again. Again, that redundancy is unnecessary on mobile. You really have to look at it differently. And I think the problem is that a lot of the older ATSs out there just have this desktop mentality. When 5-10 years ago when they were created, that's when the majority of people were applying to jobs was on desktop. But that is no longer the case, right? There is a new rule out there which says that it's basically, I think it's really mobile first. If you want to be that, that next generation employer out there and provide the best candidate experience overall, you really have to, change the way you make people apply. It's just the bottom line here, right, Matt? Matt, anything to add around that?
No, I think you're right a lot there, Chris. And as we'll kind of show, our process is really quick that we suggest it. But I think the main point is people are on their phones all the time, and whenever you can get their attention, you want your content in there at the right place, the right time. In this place, it's job postings, job listings, and trying to get that conversion and contact info. So if they only have 3 or 5 minutes to check on their phone, anything that you can do to capitalize on that intent at the time is imperative, because they may come back an hour or two later and totally forget or move on to your competitor or another company, and you've lost that chance. Totally.
All right, so we're going to go through some solutions here. And I think, Matt, you're up first with yours. And I'm going to highlight Matt's solution and then 3 other ways that other companies kind of tackle this type of problem here. So here is Haley Marketing. And again, they build sites for staffing firms only, right, Matt?
Correct.
So what are we looking at here?
So what I kind of shared today in the presentations with screenshots I literally took from my phone to show the process. And this is one of the clients we work with, 365 Healthcare Staffing. They work out in surgical techs, sterile techs out in California. And if you were to go, to their main website and make your way over to their, we call it job board internally, which I know is a little different from a lot of industry jargon, but to their career site, their job board, and this would be the first page you could go to. And it's literally 2 total screens. There's not a lot of scrolling. It's really easy to see. The first part has that, you can search by keyword or some other areas, but then also at the bottom, there's some options for, skipping the search, where you can just send your resume right away, or even sign up for some job alerts, which is another, feature that we have on that board. So it's a really short screen to get someone to convert it. It's pretty clean. And I think there's also call to actions that we have throughout the process that make it easy for someone to convert.
Gotcha. All right. And then we move on to the listings and job description page. So describe these for us.
So this would happen if you click that search on that last screen or made their way. The one on the left here is a listing of the jobs, and it can be as many jobs as a company wants to post. There's a number of different ways, 2 main ways that could happen. One is manual posting, kind of through our interface in the back end, which this company actually does because they have a lot of consistent jobs where they're looking for surgical techs in different cities, or sterile techs, or registered nurses. But there's also, we integrate with, I think it's up to 3 dozen different staffing software programs. So they can send over an XML feed that will display the jobs on their site. So a recruiter or a member of the team doesn't have to go in and manually do it. If you're living in your ATS a lot and you check the right boxes that sends out those jobs you want to post to your site, they'll manually update, every 4 hours on your career site. Yeah. And then, sorry, go ahead.
I like the buttons on the bottom, the save the search, the job alerts. And then once you get to the job, the apply is right there. I think it stays with you as you scroll, right?
They are sticky. Yeah. So those are there and make it really simple to, make it easy to convert. You're not looking around. It could be the first time you went to the site or the 100th time you went to the site. It's the job listings there, but also those really strong and easy call to actions are available. And the screen on the right just shows, I think I clicked on the first job or one of the top jobs in this list to show how the information is displayed. And it's, job descriptions are as good as recruiters and teams want to produce them. So,
and I think that apply button on the bottom there, I think that should be kind of the default for any ATS out there, any solution. That kind of it stays with you as you scroll. It should always be there, just for conversion purposes. It's just going to optimize that. That's the best way, I think, to optimize, that apply button there is it's always seen. You never have to hunt for it, and just it's easy access, right?
Yeah, the apply is there, and then there's also a call us option too. So some people might even want to talk to a member of the team if it's during business hours, or to leave an option there too. I mean, I'm sure our tech team has kicked around having a chat bot on there, but might get a little clunky in terms of just the number of call to action. So right now it's not on there, but I'm sure they've talked about that in their roadmap. But that's just because someone's checking the job when they're not at work, or outside your office business hours. You want to have a way to capitalize that and it's also another conversion tool as well if you can get an email address or a phone number to follow up.
Nice. All right, let's move on to the apply process. So take us through this.
So this is what would be happen after you click apply. For this client, I didn't show it. They have some pre-qualification questions which they like to post. Not a requirement of our system at all. So if somebody was testing this out on their own on the webinar, you might see that. But this, we treat it as, it's kind of twofold. I think one, because this is, a lot of temporary or contract jobs, you don't always need as much information right away. I think there's more of that fully direct hire, I call it, non-staffing world. But this also serves the purpose of, you just want name, email, phone number, and it's there. And then whatever the next step in your company's process is, then you can follow up with them to have them, if it's to come into the office to fill out an application, or if it's, just sending them a more online application to have the next step. You're getting that contact information as quickly as possible to get them to convert with only a handful of fields here.
Yeah.
And, resume isn't required, cover letter isn't required. We can make, I think, resume required with one of the settings, but, that'd be a pretty big hindrance too, to, how many people have resumes on their mobile phones. We do have that Dropbox, Google Drive, link there, but unless someone is a really active job seeker, they're not going to have a resume handy when they're checking their phone, if it's, on the bus or at the, grocery store or wherever, just kind of think about when people jump on their phones real quick.
Yeah. And that choose, let me just mention the choose file button is what typically happens on most mobile applies. However, when you click that on a phone, all it's doing is pulling up the, I think the option to choose a photo or a video from your phone, and no one has their resume stored as that. And so that is an example of a desktop thing that should not be there on mobile overall, because it's just not going to happen that way. No one's going to choose file from that. You have to use the cloud options or a LinkedIn apply or Indeed apply overall. So that happens too often on that's probably the number one problem with the mobile apply of those 70% of companies, I think, Matt, is that choose file is just not the right way to do this overall.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think even I might have been on the other side. Like we have apply options where you can apply with a one click with Indeed, or you can pull in some information from a Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. I think we even have like an Amazon where it could just, if you're logged into Amazon on your phone, you click with that, it would pre-populate the fields even quicker. So anything that can shorten that process even more. We're just asking for literally the pretty much the vitals or the basics here, but speed is of the essence.
Yeah, and I guess the staffing firms are a little bit of have an advantage there, right? They don't have to really put in all that legal stuff, about are you disabled, are you a veteran, that kind of stuff, right?
Not at the beginning. I'm not fully percent what would happen after that, but I would think if somebody comes in to really fill out that full application, they probably have to have them fill out that real application to make sure you're compliant there.
Yeah. On mobile, it's really about capturing the lead. I think is more important than making them go through an entire fill in a bunch of forms kind of process overall. So the fact that you have Dropbox on there, Google Drive is it's half the battle right there overall. So I did a nice job with that. So you got some stats around here that you want to talk about, but tell us kind of why you made these changes, I guess.
Yeah, well, the tech team worked on it last year. They used that's going to provide, and one of them was, we saw mobile traffic continually increasing. I think we've gone over 50% for job board traffic. I think this year at some point it's not going to go down. So, our tech team and our leadership here really like to try to get ahead of the curve, and we just shorten the application. Don't require a password anymore. If you have applied before, you can put your information in there, and it might send you one of those magic logins to your email. So you just have to click that to make sure the system knows who you are. But our standard application doesn't require anything else. In the past, we used to require address or some more information. How did you hear about us, which was a nice field to have, but it's very user dependent. And we just wanted to really shorten that application to these bare bones. We still provide longer options for companies because some companies still are hesitant to really dive fully in to make those changes. So, we have that short one that's really regular, the classic one that has, the address or a couple more fields. And then some people still like to have the long application on mobile where you get that work history, education fields available.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's not the recommendation.
Yeah. And here's your stats that you guys pulled out for us, which I thought were great. So walk us through before and after here.
Sure. This is looking at our changes rolled out, it was around end of Q3, Q4 last year. In Q4, at least in staffing for sure, since is usually a lower time of year for conversions. So we didn't really want to jump in there to look at a lot of the data, but we looked at, these stats are for January to June for 2019 and 2018. And these are the conversion rates once somebody starts the application. So once somebody clicks on that apply now button, this is what happened. So on the left, you see that jump from 39% to almost 50% on desktop. 44 to 54, and then mobile was, even the most, going from 32 to 44%. So
Yeah.
those really big increases, it kind of shows the change on mobile was the most impactful.
I mean, who would want a 27% increase or a 32% increase in applications, right? I mean, this is the power of a optimized mobile apply.
Yeah, it's once with the first problem is getting somebody to actually find your jobs, and then
Yep.
once they're there, you want to capture and convert. And I think I like to think a lot sometimes too, what's going on in that consumer e-commerce world, and anything you can do to kind of steal from those trends and make it as simple, almost as simple as Amazon does for buying something. Try to do that here on the job side, and seeing this 37% increase on mobile is, with mobile traffic going up, that's awesome to see for our clients, just to get more candidates in this as challenging employment market as we've seen in decades.
Right, exactly. I used to work for a e-commerce software company as a recruiter, and when I got there, I just really realized how similar like e-commerce is shopping to applying and looking for jobs online, and it just struck me as kind of very parallel worlds overall. And you really have to kind of Amazon the experience these days for candidates.
Yeah, we do. And I was at a conference, and I don't remember the exact company that was doing it. They actually built their career site, or it's an ATS, built that, and it's literally you add a job to a cart when you want to apply for a job and go through it that way.
Right.
Which I thought was really unique, and it's literally that consumer online experience. So speed is of the key here, and easy conversions are of the key. I think, like you said earlier, companies, one of the things from the EMRI survey was less desirable. If you don't have an easy mobile apply, your company's less desirable. And I think that's going to become even more important as millennials, but then also that Generation Z comes out. They want things easy, but they want it personalized too. So anything to make that mobile apply easy is going to help your company stand out.
Couldn't agree more. Well, thanks for that, Matt. Feel free to throw your URL in the chat window there if you want to, so people can learn more about you. And feel free to chime in as I go through the rest of these slides here too. So
Sounds
definitely
good.
Look forward to your comments. All right, so one of the first ways I think we should fix mobile apply as an industry overall is to remove the login from these ATSs overall. Again, candidates do not want to log in or create an account when applying to a mobile phone. And so I picked, in this example, I picked out Greenhouse, the ETS, as an example of someone who does this well. And the reason I picked them was because they put the apply form right on the job description page, thus eliminating the step, first of all, just clicking on the apply button, number one. It's at the bottom of the form. Even on desktop, I pulled that out here. You can see on the right. They put the apply form side by side with the job description as well, which I think also helps to increase supplies. Really nicely done there overall. They have apply with LinkedIn on here. They also have the cloud applies down below as well. But this, I think, is an excellent example of no login required. And they're one of the few ATSs I've seen out there that actually put the apply form right on the job description, which to me, again, goes towards that conversion process overall. So I really like what they do there from that candidate experience standpoint overall. It's a really simple form. Even all the legalese stuff is on that form itself, and they've really they've minimized as much as possible so that it's not a really long form on there. But you can go check off if you're a veteran or if you're disabled, or along with the rest of the legal required fields there. But check out Greenhouse. Just go to their I think it's greenhouse.co, if I'm not mistaken. Go to their site, click on careers. You can see this in action for yourself. But I thought it was a great example of, no login, get me right to the apply page and be done with it. It shouldn't take any more than a couple minutes to fill this in overall, I think. Okay. Then once we get rid of that, the next part is something I'll call quick apply. And this is kind of a sort of a stopgap solution, if you will. It's not I think the most efficient way to solve the apply problem, but it is an excellent way of moving forward here in terms of that. So I'm going to, there's an example here of Eventbrite jobs, Eventbrite, the event platform, and it's powered by Clinch Talent. I'll give a shout out to Shane Gray over there in Dublin. And what they do is basically on their job description pages, and you can see it online. It's on the sidebar of their jobs on desktop, and it goes below the job description on mobile. When I did the screenshots this morning for this, they've got the quick apply here, what I call a quick apply. First name, last name, email. And in this case, they've added a couple other things, which I thought were great to point out. Please check why you're interested in working at Eventbrite. Nice little piece of data point to gather. And also, you can get alerts about this job. So all in one swoop, you can apply, do a quick apply, and get alerts for it, and indicate why you're interested in the company, all in one form, which I thought was pretty clever of them overall. Now, have you ever seen anything like this particular form?
I mean, it's a little similar to kind of what we have. We also, on ours, I've seen, we do have just a quick apply where you skip the search, where you don't really apply for anything. You just send in your contact information. So, I think it's a good way to start that process too, to make it easy. And, that data point's really interesting to have to make, to follow up maybe with them in the CRM. But I love that at the bottom, the sign up for job alerts, because that keeps them engaged.
Exactly. And the point of all this is really capture that important information so you then can go remarket to them if they don't apply. So once you fill this in, audience, yes, you get redirected over to the ATS, and then you start the apply process on there. So it's a way to capture that up front, and at least you have the ability now to go back to that seeker if they don't actually finish the application process. So again, not optimal, but at least they're capturing those key data points up front and easily for the seeker, so that it really helps you in the long run here overall. So I thought it was a great example of a quick apply in action overall. Next would be cloud login, and I've got two examples of this. These are this is CDW, the software sales company. These are and their site's powered by telemetry, and I thought this was a pretty interesting apply process. So first of all, when you get to the page here, they set your expectations from a candidate experience standpoint. They tell you what's going to happen. They tell you how many steps it's going to take. They tell you the application process for this role consists of 3 parts: general application. This is a sales job, so you have to go through a sales assessment. And then you'll hear follow up from CDW within 3 business days. Very few companies will, guarantee that you're going to get followed up within, 72 hours like that. So I love the way that they do this here. Obviously, all the pages are mobile friendly. And once you, this is the initial screen set here that you see. And once you click, and you'll see it down here, you do first name, last name, email, kind of like the quick apply. And then you hit next. And then you get to step 2 here, which is the cloud applies. And they've got all the ones here that were really, I think these 4 here, LinkedIn, Indeed, Dropbox, and Google Drive, are 80% of the problem. They will solve 80% of your reply problems on mobile. Chances are a job seeker has an account on one of those platforms. They can pull in their LinkedIn profile. They might have an Indeed resume, or they, I store all my stuff on Google Drive and Dropbox, so I could potentially use both of those as the candidate. And especially if you're techie, any kind of tech roles, they're probably using Google Drive or probably using Dropbox as well. They're just 2 very popular platforms in the tech community. And so why wouldn't you have this stuff? Matt, I had one, somebody at Avature told me that one of their clients turned this off, turn off the cloud apply when they put the implementation in place. And that just struck me as like, shooting themselves in the foot when it came to, converting people. I couldn't believe it, so sometimes even the company doesn't really realize what they have as far as options here from the apply process. So go back to your ATS and ask them to put in a cloud apply for you. All right. Most of them have some form of this. It might be a LinkedIn, it might be a Google Drive or Dropbox, but go ask, because if you don't ask and you're not kind of pushing this with your ATS, then you're really doing yourself and your recruiters and your candidates a disservice if you're not trying to improve this overall candidate experience. I mean, I can't stress this enough. If you're complaining about not enough applications, you have to fix this. It's a must do in today's environment overall. So go to CDW, look at their jobs, and go apply to a job. I was able to apply to this job pretty easily after 5 minutes, and then I went back and I just withdraw my application, and just so I could see what the process was like overall. I'll show here's iSIM's example. A little bit similar to what you guys do, Matt. I saw they have a couple things down the bottom here. They got refer, apply, share as well, and that was nice. They've got the when you click apply, it goes to put in your email address, to hit next. Again, capturing that data point at the beginning. Mm-hmm. This is kind of like a mix-up of all the solutions, really, as I think about it. And then you've got the cloud apply down here on the right. You can do Facebook in this one, which is interesting. LinkedIn, Google Drive, Dropbox, even OneDrive, which is a Microsoft product, I believe, as well. So my device, of course, if you're on desktop. But this is another great example of how mobile apply should work, should look when it comes to this stuff overall. Any thoughts around that stuff, Matt?
No, I think the iSIMS example, like you said, it seems like a combination of a number of them. And as you said, remarketing earlier, I even bet, that begin your application, once you click that next on screen 2 there, if it's going to be remarketing or even maybe like some kind of automated drip campaign to, empty, cart abandonment essentially is what I like to say, that consumer side of it. But, you may have started to apply for this job with American Cruise Lines, but who knows, something came up, you just got distracted, you didn't want to go through with it, but then they can continue to stay in front with, if it's display, remarketing ads on Google or Facebook, or, even just constant, emails as well to show, hey, you left this, you didn't finish this application. Are you still interested in the job? We'd love to have you.
Yeah, totally. And I think, vendors out there, I mean, I'm pretty disappointed in most of the ATS vendors out there, Matt. I don't know about you, but, they're not doing any favors to their client base here if they're not offering, things like cloud apply overall to their customers. I mean, what are you waiting for, vendors, right? You have to keep up with the times, and it is a mobile first world these days when it comes to job searching. And, so I put a lot of blame on the vendors themselves, the Toleos of the world. You know who you are. If you don't have this and you're not offering this, it's just a shame. And if you're in TA, if you lead TA, if you responsible for HR technology at your company, demand your vendors give this to you, because it should be they should be iterating on their platforms. If they're not, go find a new one. And you saw some of the vendors here today overall. But those are kind of my final thoughts on the subject, is that you need to hold your ATS vendors' feet to the fire here when it comes to things like mobile apply, because those conversion rates are just killing you right now. And I would scream up and down if I was in TA today and my ATS did not have this, about getting a new ATS or making the existing one mobile friendly overall. So those are kind of my thoughts. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Matt, any last words of advice out there?
No, I don't think so. My, main advice is just to, apply for your own job. If, we say that a lot to our clients, or have somebody you trust, a, coworker, friend, family, go through the process, because, kind of I think one of our, executive suites or C-suites, they've talked about, they went to one of our clients' conferences once, like I think it was a franchise owner, and they literally did that in front of everybody, all the stuff they required. And it was a group. And then I think after a while, it was 15, 20, 30 minutes, people started laughing but one person stood up
They were
or spoke
laughing
up
at
and
the
says,
apply process.
right.
That's,
He's like, this isn't funny, guys. Like, this is why we're losing candidates and we need to change it. And they did. So it's, that'd probably be my top piece of advice. Just, go out and apply for your job or get some feedback you trust from someone and get their feedback. Cause when we're in it every day, it's sometimes hard to get that objective view, but take a step back and get some honest feedback.
Yeah. Well said, Matt. Well, audience, thanks for watching. I do career site audits, so I want to just mention that as the last slide there. So if you have a career site you think needs improving, let me go in there. I will deconstruct it. I will critique it as a job seeker, and I'll tell you exactly what's wrong and how to fix it overall. If you need help, again, of selecting a vendor too, I'll help you go out and do that. So it's $5.95. It's a quick project I can do. I'll do a written report for you and also do a video presentation for you and your team as I go over each of the different problems I find with screenshots. So consider checking that out if you are in the market for a new ATS, or if you're thinking about revamping your career site. You really have to think mobile first and think like a job seeker when it comes to attracting your talent online. And that's what a great mobile career site can do. And thinking about that kid experience is just so important these days overall. So Matt from Haley Marketing Group, appreciate your time today. Appreciate the slides. And we'll see you guys next week, August 29th, for how AI delivers better job results with Recruitology. So appreciate you watching today, everyone. And replay will be available very shortly. Chris out. See you, Matt.
Thanks, Chris. See you.
All right. Take care, guys.